before you started founding your own business today?
Well, one example is just today. I pretty much feel imposter syndrome every day. But today on the drive down here, I was like, whose idea was this? How am I on this family? Who wants to hear what I have to say? And so it's every day, but I got over it every day. I listen to Snoop Dogg's affirmation song. and I also have a playlist called Bad Bitch Sarah. And those things get me pumped up, and I'm like, I can do this. So if you haven't listened to Snoop's affirmation song after the Olympics, you most certainly should.
I listened to that after I saw you post that on LinkedIn. I was jamming with my baby.
And I think you sent it to me at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but imposter syndrome is certainly something that I've thought about all throughout my career, and I think you come upon it each time you face it, but especially when you have your own company. And I'll give you an example. The other day we were talking to a prospective client, and they asked me, do you think your team can handle this big project? Your competitors all have international companies and 70 people on their team, and you're just little old you with 14 people. And you sit there in that moment and go, oh my God, can I? And then you have to step back and tell yourself, like, I started my company for a reason, and it's because I'm one of the best in the world at what I do. And the people that work at these international companies in my practice area were my interns, and I trained them. And so, but it's all about framing that, and when somebody questions you, and sometimes it's you questioning you, sometimes it's a direct question you get from somebody going, what makes you deserving? Why are you here? And you have to step back and remind yourself, and it's hard to say that. It's still, I'll give another example that happens all the time is, we dropped my son off this morning. He started 3rd grade, his first day of school, and his teacher says, oh, and what do you do for work? And my son goes, she does laundry. And I was like, he's not wrong. We do a lot of laundry. But then I say to her, I'm like, oh, I'm an accountant. And I just kind of leave it at that, and I think that's a perfect example of kind of underselling ourselves. I see myself still as that nerdy accountant behind a computer who just wants to tie things out. And I don't see myself every day as a CEO or a president or a founder of a company, and I certainly don't say that enough. So Snoop needs to write a song about that for me. That would help, but that's just a couple examples.
Thank you, Sarah. And Katie, you had imposter syndrome. So first, to my left is Sarah, and she's going to go down the Sarah, Katie, and Kara. Say that 3 times, and hear a little bit about their background, and we'll dive right into it. So Sarah?
Hey everyone, Sarah Magruder. I'm the founder, owner, president, and CEO of Savvy Oil and Gas Consulting. We specialize in a very niche area in the oil and gas industry, and we do just severance tax and federal royalty accounting. So it's on the back end. We serve E&P companies, and I've had my company for about 5 years. Prior to that, I worked in industry for some companies like Southwestern Energy and Swift Energy, and did a little bit of consulting, and moved to Houston when I graduated from LSU in 2001, go Tigers. So I live out in Montgomery with my husband, who's here, and my son. We have 5 horses and 4 dogs.
Quite a bit, but I'm sure you have a group outside of Katie that you work with or talk to as well.
Well, they say it takes a village, and for me it takes an army. I have all kinds of support systems. Like I mentioned, my husband's here today. He's a big support for me at home that I can bounce things off of. But to your point, I think you have different circles that you lean on, but I was at something recently and they said, said, set yourself up a board table and put 20 seats at it. Who would be your personal board of directors who you would go to and bounce things off of? And it was a really interesting exercise because I realized that it was all the little group strings I have in my text messages. So I have my high school girlfriends who we call badass mamas, and we have a call every month, a Zoom call. We started it during COVID just to get through, and none of them are in my industry. They're all over the country. I have my best friends from college. I have my family. I have my lawyer. There's people that you lean on. But I said if I was to create my Knights of the Round Table or princesses, who would that be? And already that's the people that I lean on. So I think, as Katie had mentioned, like as you get through the hard times, you start to become clear on who those people are that you lean on for what you need on that given day. And days as a female founder when I feel like, I'm struggling, Katie or Kara might be who I call, or days when I feel like I'm a terrible mom and then I've given everything to work and, I've seen my son for 5 minutes, I go to my husband. And so you lean on people for different things, but the bottom line is none of us can do this alone. And, like Katie said, every day I'm pumping myself up, just trying to get through the day and do the right thing. But there are those moments where you need to phone a friend and send out an email or have somebody check on you. And I mean, being on the WENH board too, I've got a great circle of ladies here too. So the thing is to have multiple ones that you can lean on, and I lean on them all the time.
So I'm going to shift gears slightly.
Post-COVID. So during COVID, it was a tough time. It was one where I'd been in business for a year. I wasn't sure if we were going to make it or not. When the oil and gas industry picked back up, we signed a client, probably a month before I ran out of money. And so during that time, you have a lot of self-reflection. But one of the things was there was so much negativity on TV and the news and just the world. And I made a conscious decision to block out negativity. And I did that by saying, I'm not watching the news, I'm not reading this stuff, I'm muting words on Twitter. I am listening to a positive affirmation every morning to start my day. I listen to the Daily Stoic, and it's a 3-minute thing. And reading good books, talking to good people, only putting good into my mind and my body. And like Kara, I started working out with a trainer 3 days a week. May not look like it, but I do. And but it's for your health. It wasn't to lose weight. It was I need to start taking care of myself because I run a company. People depend on me, my husband, my family. I need to take care of myself and eat better. Work out, get as much sleep as I possibly can, which is a struggle always. But you have to do these things consciously. And I think I've had a therapist for 15 years. I've had business coaches. I'm definitely somebody who needs feedback and input. And I know that about myself, and that helps me to be better. I always want to be better every day. And again, those are conscious thoughts. I'm consciously trying to only focus on the positive and be optimistic. And that takes a little bit of discipline to do that. But the past 3 years since COVID, I can definitely see how that's paid off in my life and my happiness. And I feel like when you do the right thing for yourself, then everything falls into place around you and your business starts to thrive. And you get recognized for things that you've done. And that's all because you're doing the right thing and taking care of the one thing you can control, which is yourself.
Very true.
So, as I mentioned, I've been in consulting and been in industry, and I'd seen people who had worked for me start their own companies and go out, and I knew that I could do it. It just was about timing. Really, it was. I was married, I got divorced. I was single for a while. That didn't seem like a good time to start a company. So really, part of it was about timing. I got remarried, I had a son. we were stable, secure, and I thought this was a good time, but the moment, and I feel like we have a theme up here, is the moment I decided to start my own company was when I was watching a movie straight out of Compton with my husband, and Dr. Dre walked in to Easy and said, you know, I'm out. I'm going to start my own company. And I looked at my husband and I said, I'm out. And he's like, of what? I was like, I'm going to start my own company. And he was like, off the movie? And I said, yep, I'm Dr. Dre. And, you know, he's like, I just get, like, it takes a special person to be married to me, but I was inspired by Dr. Dre, if that helps at all.
I went to work.
And when they did the surgery, it paralyzed my vocal cord, so I couldn't talk for a year. And I actually, with Katie's nudging, just had an article published about this in Newsweek, which is crazy. I was like, who wants to hear about this? With compared to Newsweek. Anyway, but it was because of the lessons I learned during that was I had to learn to listen. And I've been a talker my whole life. And when you can do nothing else but listen, you start to see how important that is, that silence. And so I have a reminder that pops up on my phone every single morning in bold, print. I have a plastic vocal cord now, which is why I sound like this, but I can talk. But I have a reminder that pops up on my phone that says, in bold, listen, exclamation point. So that's my reminder to myself in every meeting and everything I go into is try not to talk, try to listen. Even when you're in a sales position and you have your own company, if you listen, people will tell you what they need. You don't tell them what you can do for them. You need to understand what they need. And then you can answer back, here's what I heard you say, and this is how I think I can help and respond. So if you take a step back and choose a listening position instead of walking in with your message, that would be one of the tips I think is great. And I talked to somebody about this the other day that I was like, man, you're such a good listener. How do you do it? And she said, I sit on my hands in meetings to remind myself not to talk. And I say, I'm only going to talk 3 times in this meeting so that when I do talk, it's something that needs to be said. So I think that that's a thing of these again, I'm back to intentionality is I'm intentionally telling myself to listen. I'm intentionally going in meetings with that. Other people are intentionally doing that to do that. So there are tips and tricks and tools.
Has anybody heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Thinking about, I'm walking into a room where there's 5% women and it's a lot of men there, and my whole career up until that point I've been wearing navy slacks and dark suits and trying to fit in and be one of the guys, and I made a conscious decision at that point to say I'm one of one, and my logo was a unicorn, yes, and I'm gonna wear bright colors. I'm going to be that person that stands out in a room, even though by nature that's not my comfort zone. I did that on purpose to set myself apart. So for comparison's sake, if you spend all your time comparing yourself to other people, no one is alike. And you have to figure out what it is that makes you special, makes you stand apart, and then also creates your brand and own it. And I feel like everybody might not like rainbows and unicorns. That's fine, but it's memorable, and my business cards are memorable. My logo's memorable. I do all of these things on purpose to not be compared to somebody else. And when people ask me about my competitors, I say I don't have any competitors. Nobody can do what I do the way I do it. And that again is confidence that's growing up in my friends.
All right, I think we are out.